Are you already offering a personalized and seamless omnichannel experience to doctors, to patients, or you feel that the playbook you are using could be enhanced? Welcome to Amplifiz Podcast, the podcast dedicated to you, pharma, MedTech, and life sciences professionals. Before we start, please make sure to hit the subscribe button. It is very important and very helpful to us. And as you watch this episode, we welcome you to like, give us a comments or questions, and we will come back to you very quickly. I'm beyond thrilled to welcome Bruno Senouci, the CEO of DRCOM, to the show. Hello, Bruno. Welcome. How are you?
Hello, Guillaume. I'm good today. Thank you.
Pleasure to have you.
Yeah, pleasure to be here.
So you have been working and supporting pharma for over 2 decades. You are, as I mentioned, the CEO of DRCOM, who is an agency that is dedicated to life science communication and marketing. Before we go into this new playbook that AI allows us to create, let's go down memory lane a little bit. 2 decades in the industry, so you have seen it all in terms of the evolution of how we engage with HCPs in pharma. Tell me a bit more about how you analyze this journey and where we are today as an industry.
When I started my career, early 2000, it was very much rep-led. We had one brand, one message, and everything was around sales force effectiveness. And it worked. It worked okay for markets where access was still manageable and where treatment pathways were still rather simple. But access and treatment pathways became more complex. We evolved from multi-channel to omni-channel to what I call today ecosystem experience design. So we're not just pushing messages on an increasing number of channels. We're orchestrating dynamically on those various channels. So that means that the example I like to take is with omni-channel and the switch to ecosystem experience design is between an orchestra, which different instruments plays the same music. Ecosystem experience design is more like jazz. It's more adaptive. It learns and adapts the messaging to different channels.
I love the analogy of music. That's very, very helpful to picture and visualize what you mean by that. And that resonates a lot. So in my introduction, I talked about how AI is obviously now enhancing and revolutionizing further that aspect. In life science and in pharma in particular, when we think of AI, we often see the headlines and the fact that, since a few years already, most of the big pharma have invested a lot of money in leveraging AI for the R&D. How would you evaluate the maturity of the industry when it comes to AI in marketing, medical affairs or medical education, and commercial excellence?
Yeah, so AI makes a lot of sense in R&D because that's where the business is. If you accelerate drug development, you create billions of dollars of revenue. So it's normal, and it's been years that investments have been in R&D, like for example in imagery, medical imagery, or molecular modeling. AI has been very useful in that for those topics. Now we're seeing the AI come to the front line and to the HCPs and patients and reps. So across APAC and Europe, we're seeing AI being used for a variety of use cases already. Have faster MLR approvals. It allows to create modular content, personalized journeys, as well as next best actions.
Right. So modular content, for the benefit of our audience here, how would you define what modular content is?
Modular content is about taking pieces of content that are like pieces of a puzzle that you assemble in a specific way, depending on the target, depending on the communication objective. And it allows to have faster content creation and faster approvals, since the piece of content, the modular content, only needs to be approved once, in theory. In practice, it's a bit more complicated because our clients still want to approve the entire piece once it's assembled. And this is where tier-based approvals can also help fasten and make the MLR process quicker, which we know is a bottleneck.
So that's on the content creation standpoint.
Yeah.
You then talked about personalized experiences. How would you define personalized experiences?
Well, personalized experiences is orchestrating content through a variety of touch points, and it's going beyond omni-channel, basically. And AI can help us analyze the various interactions. It can help us understand intent. For example, some of the innovations that were discussed at the last Viva Summit included the ability to transcribe a rep call, but it can also be used across the variety of touch points to understand intent and predict behavior. So that's where personalization can be a huge help, which isn't possible in a manual way. AI can help us do that in a much more effective way.
So what are the metrics that we can now leverage? You're talking about intent and so on. You want to expand a little bit on that aspect of metrics?
Yeah, sure. Well, engagement is everywhere. Engagement is like the Grail that everybody is trying to achieve. And currently it's measured with a bunch of KPIs that are, well, useful, but very shallow. It's number of clicks. It's click-through rates. It's basically measuring activity. I think companies' compliance fears, siloed data and cultural barriers. And breaking through requires a lot of courage and collaboration. I think it's a key word that I champion also internally with my agency. Collaboration is extremely important, ensuring that marketing, IT, medical, and business teams talk to each other. Plus partners like DRCOM who know the regulatory terrain, and that's where we step in. We define what good engagement looks like in a way that's grounded in science, that's built for impact, not just activity. And brand building also comes along to build those conversations. Engagement is in clicks. It's a brand confidence. The irony is that AI, when it's used ethically, it makes engagement more human. It allows to provide much more relevant messages in a context-aware situation. And being aware of the context is extremely important. And that's what omnichannel currently doesn't do very well.
In some therapeutic areas are obviously more competitive, more crowded than others. How do you help a brand stand out in a crowded therapeutic area?
Yeah, so brand building is essential to cut through the noise. Science alone is not enough when the therapeutic areas are crowded and everybody's saying the same thing. Basically, it's trusted by HCPs. It's more efficient than the competitors. And in this case, we need more relevance. We need more quality. We need more emotion. And as I read recently on a report by Ogilvy, I believe, only a brand that communicates emotion are going to be gaining traction. And it's particularly important where there's patient-centric care. Patients also have access to information, and they need to see that their voices are heard and that the doctors understand their concern. We as humans know and feel, and we can talk to human emotions much better than AI. Which is why we build workflows with human in the loop so that we're not drowned in activity and surface the actual the KPIs that actually matter.
I really love the logic that you describe of blending AI, leveraging AI, and yet having this human oversight to ensure that we keep that emotion and that authenticity. And that, I want to dig a bit more on that and how whether a pharma brand or its agency can already leverage AI in their content creation workflow. You talked about this a little bit with the approval, but can you paint that in a bit more detail so we grasp what is the new playbook that marketing or communication teams can leverage today?
Yeah, content is the lifeblood of the industry. It's also what we do a lot. It's a $30 billion industry overall. That's the amount of spend. And from what we know, there's 77% of that content that is never being used. So there's a lot of waste.
Wow.
Yeah. So
you said never been used or never been reused?
Never been used and reused.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's a lot of content wasted.
Right.
So we use, there's 3 different ways we can improve that. The first one is creation, second one is approval, and the third one is distribution. So on the first one, on creation, we can go from blank page to modular content much faster with AI. We have developed our own system that we use internally to create content. We call it DRCOM, and it ensures that the content remains compliant. There's other systems that we're using as well in video. We're generating video with digital personas, but based on actual patient stories. So a human directs the persona,
right,
and it allows to keep the patient anonymized. It's a much improved version of the blacked out silhouette. Right?
Right.
And we do that with respect of the AI Act that was recently enacted. The second part was enacted last summer in Europe. So that's on creation, both on modular content creation and video and image generation. Generative AI is very useful for that. In approval, so that's the MLR process, we can automate a lot of the steps that are currently manual to ensure that all the claims are being checked against the available and the approved medical study. We've developed custom workflows that use AI as part of our content creation to ensure that we have pre-checks in place. Viva has recently also announced that they will be deploying what they call the quick check agent that allows to do spell check, but also reference check right before the content is uploaded. And this is a tool that we most certainly be using ourselves to ensure that the content we deploy is pre-approved. We've discussed also about tiered approvals, which can reduce the amount of time spent on approvals by 20%. Overall, MLR is a big bottleneck for us. It's about MLR and revisions in general. It's about 60% of our project timeline. So it's a huge gain of time and speed, but not only speed, it's also about relevance. And then the third topic is distribution. And we have now increasingly platforms that are across silos and that allows us to distribute the content in a wide variety of channels that are interconnected and with also the data that is interconnected with, for example, regrouping all of the personal and interactions that have been taking place with the HCP, which allows us to do more personalization. But in the end, content is and AI is an enabler. It's a tool that we use. It still needs to be vetted. It still needs to be driven, orchestrated by a human. And a human in the loop is very important to ensure that what we create is in line with the story that we decided to tell.
Right. This is fantastic. So exciting. You're in a space that is moving very fast. And if we think of AI more from a ethic and compliance standpoint, which is obviously a big matter, right? You talk about the AI Act in Europe as well. So what's your point of view or recommendations to pharma when it comes to ethic and compliance for AI?
Yeah. Well, in pharma, ethics cannot be an afterthought. Breaking things in pharma breaks people. It's not a risk we can take. So ethical considerations are hugely important. There's different aspects of it that we need to consider when we're using an AI tool. So the first one is about transparency. So we need to be transparent about the fact that we are using AI and why we're using it and how it's being used. And this is something that MSLs and reps alike should be able to explain. They need to be able to tell to their clients how AI is being leveraged and why it's a good thing. The other part of it is training. It's important to train everyone that uses AI and what it is, what it can do, what it cannot do, what are the limitations, and understand that their judgment remains paramount and that they are orchestrator. They're moving from doers to orchestrators. It's a great tool to do more of what and focus more on what makes us more human.
Right.
And that's why ethics is paramount.
Yeah. I like that point of not forgetting that we are in the driver's seat here and that we should remain the architects of shaping the future of healthcare and so on, as opposed to delegate that power and that intelligence to the artificial one. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yes, that's right. That's what also I like what Paul Hudson said, Sanofi CEO. Don't delegate the AI revolution. I think as leaders, we have a responsibility to lead by example and show that proper use of AI and cascade that to our teams and also set bold goals.
What are the 3 applications of AI that you are excited about when it comes to HCP engagement?
So the first one, because I think it's what is enabling that ecosystem design, experience design I was talking about, is the NBA. So that's the next best action engine. It's been around for quite a while, but it was rule-based for a long time, and now it's becoming smarter. It makes better decisions, and this is allowing a piece of content or a touch point to be much more relevant to the HCP that consumes it. The second one, I think it's about summarization. The large language models are very good at that, at taking huge amounts of data and making it more digestible in a matter of minutes instead of hours. I use it all the time to be able to consume more information than I used to. So it's something that's very useful in our work as well. When you're analyzing briefs from clients, we often have a lot of documents to read through, and using those systems, we're able to accelerate and become also more relevant, focus on what matters on the brief rather than wasting time looking at all the details. So it surfaces the insights that we need to know in order to be more relevant and propose better ideas, better strategies.
Yeah.
And the third one is conversational agents. I don't think that the industry is yet to deliver on this one, but I think it's a huge step forward to go from a push approach, which is very much like omnichannel today is about pushing messages, into more of a pull approach. And we have our own initiatives to propose solutions in that directions with what we call DR Query and DR Collective. So it's conversational agents. It provides compliant conversations that and those agents can be plugged in with the data that our clients have in Viva, in this case, or other systems that are already approved, and it will provide compliant approved answers. Another of those initiatives is with DR Collective, which is connecting HCPs and adding real voices of HCPs so that you can pool people to them instead of pushing messages. It becomes a natural and part of the ecosystem. It can be a conversational agent. It can be like HCP portals that are smarter than just websites and provides like a kiosk help desk approach and connects them with the information that they need.
Yeah. So we often see in the evolution of time some waves of new technologies that come in, and every time it happens, there's a breakthrough, and all of us wonder what's going to happen to us and to our jobs and so on. And then we realize that technology is here to support us and not to replace us. But nonetheless, when we talk about generative AI, and obviously since few years where it happened, I think for pharma or for any industry and also for agencies, there was an argument of saying, oh, now with generative AI, we will no longer need agencies because they will be able to create content and visuals and so on and so on. So what is your answer as a professional of the industry on that statement? And where do you see the future really heading to?
Well, it's not something that we haven't heard before, right? I mean, we've heard it. We've heard that TV will kill cinema. We heard that in the internet would kill music industry. And certainly they changed them a lot, but they're still around. There's still cinema, there's still music, and they're still going to need agencies. I think that those that don't adapt might disappear, yes, but they will transform into something else, and the industry will move forward. And it doesn't replace the need for human relevance. Agencies ideate, they curate, they orchestrate. And these tools are tools. They're not going to be replacing the relevance of human service. I'm sure that our clients would still prefer in the future, whether it's in 10 or 20 years from now, to work with a peer, someone that understands what it is to heal or understand isolation or understand patient-centric emotions that resonate with their clients. I mean, HCPs and patients are the ones that are actually buying the medicine, and they're not robots. So the agencies are still relevant for that. Right. I think there will be still agencies that work the traditional way, a bit like and vinyl is still relevant today in the music industry, but it's niche. So there's room for a different kinds of approach. In our case, we've decided to take that turn, to take that revolution and learn from it and adapt, as we've adapted to all the various changes that we've had in the past, from CD-ROMs to DVDs. I still remember a time where we had to deploy our content on CDs before the internet was fast enough. We are old enough
to remember this time.
You remember as well. And I'm sure many of our audiences might have not known that, but it was much more constrained at that time. And we came through and we reinvented ourselves, and we still propose, I think, relevant services for our clients.
So that makes a lot of sense. Talking about reinventing ourselves, this is what we're trying to do very humbly on this podcast, is to invite people that are open to share their experience and provide guidance to their peers in order for all of us to have a more successful journey forward. And so if I look at the industry with AI, I think there was obviously a lot of excitement about it, but also a lot of anxiety, again, with the unknown and what does it mean for me and things like that. If you look at it from an organizational standpoint, most of our clients are probably large companies, if not very large enterprises. It is a tremendous challenge as well for these organizations of thousands and thousands of employees to recalibrate their skills and to now become more capable in this AI powered world. So a question a bit out of our scope, but as a CEO, as a partner of the industry for more than 2 decades, what do you think, or how do you think the organizations, large ones, can support their employees in this transformation and be more future ready for AI?
Yes, indeed. There's a lot of anxiety and excitement. I personally feel a lot of excitement with this technology, because that's basically what I was reading in science fiction books. And those books are from the 50s, and they're already talking about that huge shift that we're seeing. And AGI is coming in 10 years. So yes, it's obviously a big shift, a big revolution. But I think people are not afraid of it. They're afraid to be left behind. So it's our role to empower them, to give them the tools and understand how their job is going to be switching from doers to orchestrators, and how the human relevance still matter. It's very important as well as leaders. I think we all have, actually, not just leaders, but we all have a responsibility, which is to protect our human core. Unchecked automation might hollow out huge amounts, jobs, and once we've done that, then it's going to be very hard to come back. And we've seen companies that have replaced all of their developers by AI coding agents and went back and rehired people. Right. So we must make the right choice, keep human at the center front, reassure our staff, and I think that's valid for my employees as well as pharma employees. And I think, once again, Paul Hudson does it well when he says that we shouldn't delegate the AI revolution and show how AI can be relevant also for a CEO. And it shows that everybody can actually be more empowered with those tools. It's a promise to have more time to become more human and focus on the interesting stuff. I think a lot of pilots also have failed. I've got another figure for you. 95% of AI pilots in the industry, in the pharma industry, have failed. And I think if you look at why, it's because they were not evaluated for the right KPIs. A lot of the AI pilots that have succeeded took parts of the process that people didn't like doing, because that's the most obvious choice when you're dealing with a cultural revolution such as this one. You need to show people that it's actually useful for them and that it's going to let them move away from tasks that they actually don't like doing. Right. You take it from the easier angle when you're dealing with people, with things that people don't like to do.
Right. and solve real business problems. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It has been really cool and insightful to have you on the show, Bruno. Thank you so much. Thank you all very much for watching this episode of Amplifiz Podcast. Make sure to subscribe, to leave us a comment, and don't forget to check Bruno's LinkedIn profile in the description, as well as the link to his website, DRCOM. Thank you so much for being here. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.